Welcome, everyone. My name is Coach David. I am here with egelloC and Financial Aid Secrets to make sure that you guys have the most up-to-date information on the world of financial aid. Today, we're going to be talking about the CSS profile, okay? We'll dive a little bit into kind of what it is, where it's getting you money from, so that you guys understand the situation a little bit better, right? Now, before we do that, if you guys could all go out, I know I see people kind of joining right now. If you can go ahead and put your student's grade level in the chat, just so I know who's here, it'll help me immensely kind of explain things that are pertinent to your grade level. Okay. Now, as far as what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be talking about the CSS profile, right? Now, in about 24 to 48 hours, if you want to look over the replay to kind of, get the information, because I'm going to throw a lot of stuff at you at once, you can go ahead and actually reach out in our Facebook group if you're part of our Facebook group. If you are part of our coaching program at egelloC, you can go ahead and go to our private YouTube channel. And in that YouTube channel, you will be able to find this replay. Okay. But if you do have questions about anything you hear today, you can ask them live in our call. You can also go ahead and reach out if you're a coaching family in the Discord, or you can reach out on Facebook and leave a comment there as well. Okay. Now, just a little bit about me, right? I know I look a lot more professional there, but I like to be casual for my families because, again, we're talking about a topic that is very, very important, right? There's no need for me to be in a suit and tie. I actually feel more comfortable this way. I hope you guys feel the same way, right? Now, I am a former attorney, okay? A former lawyer, right? I have been working in college admissions and financial aid for the past 16 years, right? And I've been able to save a lot of families a lot of money on college, right? With a lot of acceptances coming out, I'm also going to share over the next couple of weeks what I was able to save for families in different situations at different schools, right? Again, it's just evidence of what I've been able to do for families so that we can make sure that we are saving you money as well, okay? So, moving into kind of one of my kind of like our attendees' favorite parts of the financial aid kind of presentation is breaking news, right? Now, this breaking news I've actually had for the last 3 weeks because I want to remind people, if you do have a senior, you should be thinking about financial aid, right? They've extended the deadline until April 2nd. So there's still about 2 weeks left in order for you to file your financial aid in California, okay? The other part that I wanted to kind of bring up is that because of all the uncertainty, there are a lot of colleges around kind of the country that are changing up their models of financial aid, right? Harvard is the latest one to do this, right? It's the latest of the high-profile schools that's changing up its financial aid game, right? So what has Harvard done? Well, it did what MIT just did. I don't know, maybe it was about 3, 4, 5 months ago. MIT, Harvard, they're doing the same thing, right? What they are saying is if your family makes under $200,000 a year, tuition is free. All you have to do is pay for room and board. That's it. Okay. Now that is an increase, right? So they increased their kind of like ceiling of like where they do that. Last year was 85,000. So you have to make under $85,000 in order to be eligible for free tuition. Now it's $200,000. Now, if you make under $100,000, Harvard's saying that they're going to cover everything. They're going to cover tuition. They're going to cover books. They're going to cover room, right? They're going to cover food, right? They're going to cover transportation, right? And they're even going to give you an extra $2,000 during your first year so that they can buy essentials like computers, things like that they need, right? So that seems like a pretty good deal, right? So again, if that's a situation that kind of that pertains to you, obviously there's more colleges that are going down this road, right? But not all of them are, okay? Now, again, there's a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of stuff is just rumors right now and kind of speculation. So I didn't bring anything in because nothing is actually written in stone yet, right? But I will try to bring you the most up-to-date kind of information as so much in our world is changing right now. Okay. If you have any questions about whatever I talk about in the news or whatever I talk about kind of like during a presentation, please make sure to kind of reach out to me so that we can talk. You can text us, right? You can email us. You can also, Facebook, Discord, whatever you have access to, go ahead and reach out to us, please. Okay. But let's get into our training. Okay. One of the things I say is that, well, if you're here, it's probably because you need help. But a lot of people come to my trainings thinking, well, I'm going to go and listen, but it probably won't be able to help me, right? They think our family makes too much money, right? Someone has told you that, oh, your family's not eligible, right? Other people think I own a home, so it's not going to happen, right? Whatever it is, whatever rumor you have heard, it's most likely wrong, Okay. Now, if you make $12 million a year and you have, a 500, unit apartment complex, I probably can't help you, right? But if you're just a normal family, right, trying to get by, right, then most likely you need to stick around because you need to talk to me after this. Okay. So with that, right, and with those warnings, right, and the warning is that most families, I'd probably say 95% of families do need to talk to me so that we can discuss your situation. Again, 5% of the families I meet, I cannot help, right? But 95 of the percent of the families I do meet, there are solutions for your family. So we'll talk about those. Okay. Now, before we get into our training, a quick word from our sponsor, right? It is coming upon us now, right? If you have a junior, and I do see a bunch of juniors in the chat there there are a lot of different things that need to get done in the summer so that your student can succeed in the fall when application season is in full swing. Okay. And that is why I introduced egelloC, right? Now, egelloC is the parent company to Financial Aid Secrets, right? egelloC is our college coaching program, right? Now, we are having our college application intensive and it's starting in April. If you have a junior and you don't have any plans of what you're going to do with your student, oh, they said that they're going to do it on their own, right? I've seen what that leads to. It doesn't lead to good consequences, right? So they need to have a plan. Now, this is kind of one of those plans that you can choose. We have a college app intensive. The college app intensive is a kind of 2 weekend, right, approach so that we are able to start with the student and then finalize with the student, right? The first weekend is a 1 day, so it's on a Saturday, right? It's the kickstart, right? The kickstart will help the student with their personal statement, PIQs, right, for the UCs, so that they can get a kind of like rough draft going and get the brainstorming going, right? A lot of students say that they have brainstorms. I look at them and I'm like, you're not answering the question, right? So you need to brainstorm and create your rough drafts in the correct way with the correct topics, right? And then the second part, the accelerator, which is later in the summer, right? The kickstart is between April and June, and the accelerator is July to September, right? The second part is a 2-day event. It's a full day event, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., right? And the student will be working in a small group of kind of 5 to 1 with a coach, right? And working on finalizing their kind of personal statements and their PIQs for the UCs. Okay. So if this is something that interests you, you can definitely reach out to us and kind of look at the information online by going to collegeappintensive.com. I will also have a phone number that you can text later on today. Okay. Now, the kind of meat of what we're going to talk about today is the CSS profile. Okay. Now, the CSS profile, you guys might be thinking, well, I've heard of the FAFSA, right? It's something that a lot of people have heard of, right? It might be even something that you did back when you were going to college, right? But the CSS profile is something that's fairly new, right? Now, first off, what is it, right? It is a form, right, that has been created by the College Board. College Board might be a name that is something that is more familiar to you, right? They administer the SAT and AP testing, PSAT, right? So you've probably heard it sometime during your student's high school journey, right? It is run by them. The CSS profile, right? Just to give you kind of a very summarized version of what it does, right? Is that it tries to match colleges and students, right? Once they've applied to various scholarship opportunities at that particular school based on the student's need, right? So the colleges are trying to do a good thing. They are trying to come out of their own pocket to pay for some of your educational expenses, right? The CSS profile is called, right? The CSS is an acronym for College Scholarship Search Profile. Okay, so it's not that you just put your information out in the universe and then colleges pick and choose you, right? You send it to the particular schools that you apply to. Okay, but again, it's because there's a lot of kind of private schools that use the CSS profile. The private schools have their own bank, right? Their own pot of money that they can use to entice students to come. Okay. That is why we need to fill out this form. If a school requires a CSS profile and you do not fill it out and you do not do the other pieces of the puzzle, you are disqualified from financial aid. Okay. Now, let's get into the CSS profile to understand a little bit more about what is actually in it. Okay. So first off, right, there's terms of service, all these different things, right? Again, don't read it, just click it because you have to click it to move on, right? They're going to ask about student information, right? Now, the one kind of key piece I will put here is that there cannot be spelling errors. If there are spelling errors, they won't be able to match up your CSS profile to your applicant, to your when they're like the application that you turn in, right? You always want to make sure to check your birthdays and social security numbers. Those are very, very important. Okay. In addition, right, one of the things that they ask about is also kind of the parents kind of situation, right? Now, there is a lawsuit that is going on currently about kind of like separated and divorced families. If that is a situation that you are in, you want to talk to me, especially if you're 10th, 11th grader, you want to talk to me as soon as possible so that you can understand how that affects your financial aid, right? So if you are a kind of family in a separated situation, divorced, widowed, right? Or maybe you're married, right? Or like never married but living together, right? If those are the situation, it will make a huge impact on your financial aid depending on how you answer these questions. Okay, so please make sure to talk to me, right? Now, there's also kind of other differences between the CSS profile and the FAFSA, right? So on the CSS profile, you can add as many as you want, right? I haven't really seen a limit, right? So if you want to kind of apply to, 40 different places, that's fine. The one thing that I will say here that is different between the FAFSA and the CSS profile is that the FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Student Aid. It is completely free. There is no cost to turn that in. Unfortunately, for the CSS profile, there is a cost. Okay. The first CSS profile you send to a certain school costs $25. Each one after costs $16. Okay. So there is a cost to the CSS profile. Okay. Now, if you're under a certain income level, then there is a waiver that you get. So you won't have to pay for any of them. Okay. But again, you need to kind of understand what you can do, what you can't do, what kind of a certain form costs, what a certain form doesn't cost. Right. So you can kind of think of it like when you're trying to buy a car and like you run your credit to see what your interest rate is going to be. That's roughly what this is. Unfortunately, your credit kind of takes a hit when you run that credit report, right? Here, you have to pay $25 for this first school and $16 for every school and for every school after. Okay. But it's in order to try to save more money. Okay. So it's in pursuit of something good. Okay. Now, another piece of the puzzle that a lot of people mess up on when they're doing this is answering the questions wrong. Okay. Now, after you choose a school, and here I chose Stanford, right? Now, let's say that your student is going off to college, right? You go ahead and you choose that they're going to be a first year undergraduate. They never attended college, right? Now, I'm gonna kind of mix our two sides together, right? So coaching and our financial aid side. When they say that they never previously attended college, that means that they've never been enrolled at a four-year university. Now, a lot of the students that are in our coaching program have actually gone to community college and taken classes there because that's something that we believe in. Students going above and beyond, showing their interest and increasing their general rigor. Okay. But because you went to community college does not mean that you choose first year undergraduate. I have attended college before. Okay. That is a totally different situation. Just to kind of tell you guys, they give the most money to first year undergraduate students that have never been to college, right? And then first year undergraduates that have gone to other colleges, right? Now you might be thinking, how can you be a first year undergraduate but have gone to college, right? Well, let's say that you went to college and you flunked out and then you reapplied and then you got in, right? That would be a first year student that has gone to college before. Okay. So again, there's a lot of different situations, but if you're kind of in a normal situation, then it's first year undergraduate, never previously attended college. Okay. Now, the next part here is very important, right? Take notes, right? Whenever they ask you, what are your housing plans? I don't care if you're living with grandma, right? I don't care if you're living at home, right? I don't care if you're living with a friend off campus, but you will choose on-campus housing when you fill out this form. Okay. The reason is because living in the dorms and having a meal plan is the highest cost plan that you can have. Okay. The reason why we want that is because you want to show colleges that your kind of total cost of attending college is going to be this much, right? And so you need more money, right? It's hard to say, well, I'm going to be living at home, so the only cost I have is tuition. So I don't need as much money, right? It doesn't make sense. You want more. So that's why we need to show them that we're going to be expending more. Okay. And then again, you choose regular decision, early action, early decision, whichever one your student actually applied as. Okay. Housing situation. Okay. Many people own their own home, right? A lot of our families come to us and like, yeah, I own my own home. That's okay. No problem, right? In planning for college, right? this is the one kind of piece of advice that I give. Let's make sure that you own less of it. Okay. So what I mean by that is, well, if you've paid off your home, congratulations. That is a huge feat, right? But having a mortgage is not bad for the purposes of this situation, right? Financial aid, right? Having a mortgage, like let's say that you own $1 million home, right? Let's say that you have paid off $500,000 of it, right? You don't necessarily own $1 million. You have $500,000 in equity. Those are two different things. Okay. In addition, you don't want to be using the Zillow or Redfin estimate of your home as the market value. The market value of your home is what you're getting taxed on. Okay. So whatever your county tax assessor sends you as your tax bill, oh, you're getting taxed on, let's say you own $1 million home. You've owned it for 25 years, right? When you bought it, it was $400,000, right? But your tax bill comes and the kind of value of your home is, I don't know, $520,000. Well, that's what you're paying taxes on. That is what you're going to put in this line. Okay. One of the questions, right, that they ask is like, what's your monthly housing payment, right? The higher the amount, right, the more money that you're expending every month out of the income that you're showing. So again, these are all pieces of the puzzle that you need to show, hey, money is coming. I have money, like, money's coming in through my income, but a lot of money is coming out. Okay. So these are all pieces that you need to be thinking about. Okay. Now, as far as kind of like parent financial info, this is going to be the biggest tip I could give you, right? If you don't take anything else away from today's kind of conversation, this is the one tip that I will give. In the parent financial section, there's only about 5 questions that are required of you. Okay, that's it, right? Everything else is optional, right? So why would we voluntarily give up more information than we are required to when we're trying to save money, right? If they ask about your retirement and you give them all the information about your pension plan later and your retirement, your investment accounts, right? You have a trust fund set up by, grandma and grandpa. Why would we do that? Don't volunteer information. If they ask for it later, you can provide it then. But we should be as minimal as possible, right? Telling them how much interest you made on your kind of savings account, right? Where you work, right? Retirement. None of this helps you. Just do what's required. Do the bare minimum. I understand we have a lot of high achievers, right? Parents and students, right? They are very good at what they do, right? But this is the one form, right? Or financial aid is the one area where you need to do the bare minimum. Okay. That is the biggest piece of information that I'm going to give you today. Make sure that you're not answering any unrequired questions. Okay. Now, they're also going to ask about student resources. Okay. The student, well, again, your student might have a job, they might have this, they might have that, right? Now, normally it's pretty minimal, right? If they are planning to kind of continue their job into the summer before they start school, sure, you can put that minimal amount. Now, if the student is making, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year, we need to talk because, well, the student's already doing pretty well. Like, do we really need college, right? But the other part is we need to understand how taxes are being filed so that we can figure out what we need to kind of answer in this section, right? Now, generally speaking, right, let's say that, your student doesn't have a job. They just get allowance and things like that. For kind of like, how much is in their savings account, their expected earnings, you can go ahead and just put zero, right? You're basically just using mom and dad's money. That's fine, right? So the other kind of piece of information I'll give is this. If a student's making under a certain amount, they don't need to file their own taxes. Usually they can file under their parents, or if it's if it's a super low number, they don't even really need to report anything, right? So you want to use the numbers that you would use when you report it on a tax return. Okay. So keep those things in mind there, right? Now, again, they also ask in this CSS profile, how much are parents going to contribute? Now, the real answer to that is probably, okay, well, whatever, little Johnny or little Sally needs, right? But I want you to act in just in this situation, right? As very mean parents. So parents, I'm not giving my kid a nickel, right? Scholarships and grants, well, they're not applying for anything, right? Employers, yeah, your employer might have some kind of scholarship program, but zero, right? And then, other relatives or, resources, yeah, grandma and grandpa, they don't care about little Johnny or little Sally, right? We're putting zero, right? We are mean parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents, okay? Read between the lines here, right? The more that you say that you are going to contribute, the less the school has to give you. Okay. So again, zeros across the board here. Again, maybe you really are cutting them off, right? But nevertheless, again, this is something that they're just asking, right? If your intention at the time you fill out this form is that you're not going to give them anything, well, then that's fine. Okay. Now, takeaways, right? This form is here to try to get you to fall into like a lemming pattern, right? A lot of people that I talk to that have filled it out on their own and then sign up for a consultation are like, yeah, well, they asked me all this information. So I just kind of started plugging in numbers and, clicking the next button. And I'm like, did you stop to see if it was required? Right. And then they kind of like have this blank face, right? Because it's like, oh, oops, right? Now, once they have that information, it's there, right? Unfortunately, you can't really change it. The CSS profile is the hardest document to change. So before you touch it, right? For all you 10th and 11th graders out there that I see that you marked kind of your grade when we started, right? Do not touch this form until you talk to me, right? Or talk to someone, right? Again, I don't care if you guys come to our program or if you go to a different program, you do need to get help, okay? This is not a kind of process that most families can do on their own unless they've been in this kind of in this field for a long time, right? And not many people can say that, oh, my mom works at the financial aid office, my dad works at the financial aid office, right? But again, this form is here to make you volunteer information and put you in a very bad situation. Okay. So my advice here, don't let them answer the basics, find ways around the other questions, right? If they ask for more information later, you can deal with it at that time. Okay. The information that they ask for is literally what I just showed on this form. Again, I've summarized, there's questions in between, but I pulled most of the important areas out for you, right? But again, I say this with the most kind of like urgency. Before you do anything, before you create your FAFSA accounts, before your CSS profile might already be created because you took AP tests or you took the PSAT, so on and so forth, right? But before you sign anything, before you turn anything in, make sure to talk to me, right? Talk to whatever other company you're talking to about your financial aid situation. Okay. You do not want to click submit and then do an oopsie and then lose out on 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a year. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Now, I want to tell you guys why we're a little bit different, right? Now, over the past weeks, I've had a lot of consultations, right? And a lot of people have told me, hey, this company's telling me I need to buy this life insurance thing, right? I need to buy an annuity, right? Well, we don't, right? I take you as you are, right? Right? Just like how, um, your CPA kind of has to take you as you are. That's the same thing for me, right? The money that you made is the money you made, right? We're going to try to figure out strategies to help you, right? Your kid does not need to have a 4.5 or a 1500 plus on their SATs to get money. That is not the case. Does it help in some situations? Sure, but there's other ways, right? We also don't force you to apply to colleges that you would never go to in the first place, right? I've actually heard about 6 times just this past like 7 days. Oh, this other company told me that there's a school out in like, I don't know, like the middle of nowhere, like Missouri, and I would be able to go there for free, right? Well, that's usually not the school that our students want to go to, right? So and again, I have nothing against Missouri, right? But the Missouri example was kind of like one of the ones I remembered, right? But we don't do that. The list of schools that you have is the list of schools that you have. We work within what you provide us to get you the best results possible. Okay. So again, we can find solutions for your family. Please give us a chance to talk to you so that we can figure out what those are. Okay. So again, that was kind of a very short introduction to the CSS profile. In the coming weeks, we're going to be talking about other topics about kind of, especially with kind of our seniors kind of being almost kind of at they know where they're going to go, right? I'll also kind of bring up examples of families that I was able to help in different situations, right? And some of the strategies that I used, right? But if you are interested in our kind of financial aid program, or if you're interested in our college application intensive or in our coaching programs, you guys can use either of these QR codes, right? The one on the left for you is going to be for financial aid. The one on the right is going to be for coaching programs. You can also text money or college to 949-775-0865 so that our team can reach out to you and give you more information as well. Okay. But I always do like to open it up for a little bit of Q&A because I'm sure parents have questions, right? They've heard this rumor, they've heard that rumor. There's no bad questions. I've really heard them all. I've heard a lot of ridiculous questions. So don't feel shy. Please go ahead, put them in the Q&A in the chat. I'll also give people some time to go ahead and scan those QR codes, sign up for things as well. Okay. In the meantime, I'm also going to put the link to the financial aid kind of call consultation in the chat as well. Our consultations are free, right? There's no charge ever, right? I know that there's a lot of people that are copying us. So if you see someone saying, hey, you need to pay a $50 deposit to sign up for a consultation, please do not fall for that scam, right? It is not me. I will never ask you for a deposit for a consultation. Okay. All right, so we have some questions coming in. Let's go ahead and talk about it, right? So it says, when do you create a CSS profile, right? My daughter is a junior now. So for juniors, well, you don't really need to worry about it yet. It's something that we'll probably do in the summer, right? We'll go ahead, your CSS, so if you've already taken an SAT or an AP test or this or that, it's the same login as your College Board login, right? So your CSS profile is already there. We just have to go in and fill everything in, right? But again, don't touch it. Leave it alone, right? It's not time to take it out of the fridge yet, right? Sometime in the summer, right? That's when you should be working on things, right? If your daughter is a junior, I would talk to us now, right? The 2024 taxes that you're filing in less than a month, those are the taxes that we're going to be using for your class of 2026 student. Okay. We have another question. It says, do you have to report stock portfolios to CSS? Well, it's not required. I will leave it at that, right? Can you go ahead and report it? Sure. But why would you, right? So again, just focused on the required questions. There's only 5. There's not a lot, okay? There's a lot of things you can skip over, okay? Any other questions? I'll go ahead and kind of like keep it open for a little bit longer so that you guys can go ahead and ask your questions, right? Again, the link to the financial aid consultation is here, right? If you're already part of our coaching program, the financial aid program, unfortunately, is not part of your coaching program. It's a standalone like program. So make sure that you sign up for a consultation so we can talk about it. If it makes sense for your family, I'll tell you about our program. If I'm not able to help you, I'll give you some tips and then I won't tell you about our program, right? So I like to be very efficient, right? So I'm not going to kind of sit there and try to sell you a product that's going to do nothing for you, okay? So make sure that you guys do sign up so that we can talk because a lot of people misunderstand if they are actually eligible or not, okay? All right, sounds good, sounds good. So I'm gonna go ahead. I don't see any other questions. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this screen up so you guys can take, a screenshot or scan those QR codes, get signed up, right? But if you are a junior right now, right, or a sophomore, juniors, it's important because, well, it's going to be starting in the summer. We need to get prepared now, right? If you're in 10th grade, right, it's even more important because the tax year that 10th graders will be using, because they're the class of 2027, is the tax year for 2025. Okay, that's the year we're currently in. If there's anything that we can do to lower your taxes over the course of 2025, we want to be focused on that. Okay, so that's something we should talk about as well. If you're in 9th grade, well, let me put it this way. The youngest student we have in our program is currently in 4th grade. They'll be going into 5th grade next year, right? If you're in 9th grade, it's not like you're super early. You're kind of right on track, right? And then we can start talking about what we can do in the 2026 year to prepare kind of mom and dad for kind of creating the best situation so that we can, get you the most money for college. Okay. But if you're in high school right now, you should be talking to me, right? Whether you sign up right now, the only difference is going to be that, and again, I'm very kind of forward with kind of what we do, right? The only difference is that when you sign up for your consultation, we do have an early bird discount. If you decide to sign up within the first 72 hours for our program, we give you a discount, right? So if you are ready to kind of listen and kind of have your kind of like understand your situation, come in, talk to us, right? And then if you're ready to go, you can sign up for your program, and then your program is locked in, right? Now, One of the things I've noticed, right, because I'm aware of all these financial things now, is that I went to Costco just I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago because there's an egg shortage and I can't find eggs, right? So I went at the crack of dawn to go buy eggs, and I realized that the price of the eggs that I normally bought had increased by 65%. Okay. I was astonished, right? Because just the last week they were at that same original price. Okay. So unfortunately, right, I always tell my families this. I feel bad if you don't sign up now because in the future, right, our program's only going to get more expensive because, well, everything in our world is getting more expensive. So even if you have a ninth grader or eighth grader, we can lock you in at the price today, and then we'll do the services for you in 3 years. But why is that good? Well, you have access to me during that whole time to ask me questions about what is happening with your financial situation. How will this affect your financial aid? Okay. So with that, I will bid you adieu, right? I'm going to leave this screen up for you guys just for a couple minutes, right? Go ahead, take the screenshots, text us, right? Do what you need to do, right? I also left the link in the chat as well. Okay. So I will see you guys again next week. Hopefully there's some more solid news out there that I can kind of inform you guys about. But if you guys do have any other questions, make sure to reach out to us. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye.